Hi and welcome to World of
WATSORB.
and Part 6 of Final Fantasy VII and its remake comparison and review. As the group arrives at Mako Reactor 5, we see again that Shinra are watching their every move. In the original, the entry to the reactor was shortened from that of the first mission by this little slide down the pipe, and I love that they've gone to the trouble of introducing an upgrade to even that small part, and whilst it's a vastly bigger layout, the similarities are clear to see.
That's it. That's the smell. This place reeks of Mako.
Indeed Mako, as Barrett says, and not Mako, which I noted too late. I'd mispronounced at the start of my last video. When first playing the remake and hearing Mako and not Mako, well, it was just Chocobo from when I first played Final Fantasy X and heard speaking for the first time. And as we approach to place the bomb, Cloud has another episode, this time much longer, and we see scenes from his and Tifa's past.
Soldiers, Mako, Shinra, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of this!
Again, and I would say this is my favourite thing about the remake, is these scenes from the original so closely and gloriously brought to life.
Hey, soldier boy.
Tifa.
What?
I'm sure that many veterans of the original game would also have been more than delighted with a scene-for-scene remake, but in all honesty I believe that would be a tad unfair on the makers, as although there's some blatant padding throughout the remake, we'll continue to see that so many of the extensions, especially to the plot, probably in their minds in some fashion when the game was first made, but also the restrictions at the time forced them to cut down, scale things back.
We withdraw to a safe distance. Then, kaboom!
Safe distance?
What? No such thing. We get out the same way we got in. Let's double back.
So, as we make our way out, I felt it's worth noting some of the detail which went into Final Fantasy VII. Although clearly coming out here using exactly the same background area map painting, they've gone to the bother of amending the marks and codes, and as you'll see there, the pipe work in Reactor 1 is different, and I've added that screenshot in there just to highlight that, a nice touch. So before we get to the boss fight coming up, the remake adds in some extra fighting, and more importantly, a little bit of a side quest. We have to find some key cards in 3 or 4 different rooms to sabotage various elements of the upcoming boss's weaponry, just to help reduce the difficulty somewhat, and those stolen parts will also come in handy for us later. So some of the scenes in this and upcoming videos have actually been clipped from recent playthroughs of both games by my daughter. She originally tried the remake after I'd played it, and while she did enjoy it, she felt something was missing. And I think you can maybe see me making these videos perhaps inspired her to take up the original. She'd played that throughout the month of June there. Then coming back to the remake, she's found it immensely more enjoyable, seeing everything in this shiny new version and where it came from, and all the parallels just made such a difference. And I think that's the purpose of these videos, aside from my own personal enjoyment in talking about Final Fantasy VII. It's getting people interested enough to try the original perhaps in order to be properly wowed by the remake. I've never been the biggest fan as such, no cosplay etc for me, but I've always found it just an amazing game and an immensely well told story, and I think everyone should enjoy it at least once.
In that case, follow my lead.
Nah, Tifa's.
After we come up in the lift, we have a little puzzle to complete to time.
3, 2,
or movements to get out. And again, the remake takes this, adds to it, and after this there was also a further harder attempt, and that allows you to obtain those stolen parts from the boss that I mentioned for us to use yourself. As I said, padding does exist in the remake, and as we'll see in the next video, more on that later. It's elements like the extra mercenary missions in Sector 7, putting the lights out chapter, that have me longing for the main story to return. But so far the additions to the plot itself I have welcomed, and I think we've layered a lot of things well. I know there's a lot of concern and crazed guesswork over where this might go in part 2, and I'll comment more on that as we progress towards the finale of the remake.
Alright, time to go.
And out to face this chapter's main boss, the Airbuster. Very similar again to the original. Of course, the remake makes some changes to this cutscene, and we see the original game has President Shinra gracing us with his presence, but the remake takes up modern technology and creates a brilliant alternative with little drone type things creating giant holograms of the President, and then later on Heidegger. Layout. Now, how much of a pawn Avalanche has been in their greater plans, and a nice scene of exposition coming up here that really expands on the whole Shinra Wutai thing.
This is classified, of course, but every soldier knows the truth.
That's right.
Self-degradation, not something which was declared in the original game. Shades of Metal Gear Solid 4, I would say. And I wonder how and if this will make any difference in the remake's plot as it progresses. But I'll let this bit run, as I said, there's some nice additional stuff.
Okay then. Let's talk about wasteful indulgences. What is Mako? The life stream. The lifeblood of the planet. Our planet. But Shinra keeps on slurping it up like a thirsty dog. What do you think's gonna happen if you don't stop, huh?
We do indeed keep on slurping it up, as you say, but for whose benefit, I wonder. The true nature of Mako is known to one and all, yet the people willfully turn a blind eye to the cost. As you must surely be aware.
Don't you dare try to put this on us! If anyone's going along with your plans, it's 'cause you brainwashed them!
Such methods are beneath me. As are you, my faithful stewardess. Henceforth allies of wicked Wutai, our sworn enemy. Thank you for stoking our people's patriotic fervor.
Wutai! The hell we are! You still don't understand your role in this. What do they do? Don't you see? You fools were never in control. Never anything but pawns in our plans to sell great and glorious war to the people. And your instruments of insurrection will detonate. When we so choose. God damn it! Now let us raise the curtain on our main event. The trial of the eco-extremist group Avalanche. Terrorists conspired with Wutai against Midgard. Your guilt is undeniable. Your punishment, death.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of this.
And there, a little flashback to the flashback that we saw previously, and this proves so important to Cloud as the original game progresses. and it looks as though it's going to be gloriously depicted and no doubt drawn out in the remake. Not that that's a bad thing when it comes to the story.
What did it do to you?
Big boy means business. Bring it home.
Let me handle this.
So, as we defeat the airbuster in both games, rather than going to bed and fading away, it explodes to leave our hero in a precarious position. This time unable to leap his way out of it. The remake had hinted at this scene in the escape from Reactor 1 when Cloud managed to bounce out, but this time he can only hang on for a small amount of time, and he uses this to try and reassure his comrades. Some more date scene selections in here too. In the original, here we see that Tifa has not been fully honest with Cloud about something, and so much that she has to tell him his close connections to that flashback we saw earlier. Another chance to edge your date later, to be with possibly Barrett or Tifa. I think I may have steered it away from Barrett there. But some lovely dialogue between the characters here, and although they've changed that a lot in the remake, I feel that the spirit of it does remain. Down into the abyss goes Cloud, despite his grappling gun's best efforts in the remake. He plunges into darkness, and as he falls, the remake brings in the wraiths again surrounding him. By the looks of things, to protect him, certainly seems like that to me. And we see in the original a strange voice talking to us, and maybe I was blind at the time, but it really wasn't until later on in the game when Tifa is helping Cloud to uncover the truth behind what's happened to him.
What do you say?
And I realised that what is shown so clearly here in the remake that is Cloud
Never mind about
having an
that.
inner dialogue, and all is not as it seems with his memories or identity.
Why not? Good. Easy does it. Slow. And steady. Yeah. Hey, who are you? Who are you?
I am your everything.
And stronger hints shown so early in the remake story as the connection between Cloud and Sephiroth. As I've said, he wasn't really shown other than flashback until well after the remake's plot ends, but I do like how they've implemented them so far. So after some more inner dialogue, Cloud is awakened by a voice, and we see here his fall has been broken by the roof of a building, quickly identifiable as a church.
Maybe you're not okay.
And the sweet voice belongs to the flower girl, or peddler, in the remake, and she makes
he
herself
lives.
known to us.
Finally awake, are we?
You're...
Aerith. It's Aerith. And you are?
Cloud.
Nice to meet you again.
Again, huh?
We have a choice to recall her in the original, again affecting that gold saucer date later on. Now, as we move on to the naming options for the Flower Girl, we see probably the most well-known mistranslation in Final Fantasy VII, where the girl's name is initially shown to be Aeris. Indeed, for a number of years after playing the game I still referred to her as such, no internet then to reveal that in actual fact her name should have been Aerith, with a TH at the end, coming from a linking of air and earth, and that had been translated wrongly when it was pulled to the European version. In all honesty, although I know it's Aerith, I have changed it to that in every playthrough since my first one. I still find myself going to say Aerith when talking about the game. I will be talking about her more in the next installment.
Don't worry about it. They're a lot tougher than they look. This place, it has a kind of power.
It's just a lovely scene here which I think emphasises and heightens the reality of the relationship between Cloud and Aerith.
I've got one too.
You and everybody and their mother.
Not like mine, no. It's special. Mine's not good for anything at all.
And now Cloud experiences a further foreshadowing of the future.
Bet
And
you just don't
then-
know how to use it.
Uses the same line, I
Could
think
be.
it's later on in the original
Though,
that this
I really
does,
don't
this
mind.
dialogue happens.
Just having it is enough. It was a gift from my mother. Pretty crazy, huh? Us meeting again like this. You should stay a while.
And I feel that the move to incorporate later story elements early into the remake and dot them through little flashes like that is quite a smart move. It allows the audience to be more drawn in by the fuller story, and it seems in line, I think, with how movies and TV shows etc. layer their plots these days. And here we see Reno of the Turks enter, and we see a little flash from subconscious Cloud as he informs actual Cloud that he does know this guy from the elite Shinra task force. And we see some Shinra guards have accompanied him, but before they do so in the remake, it gives us an additional little boss fight with Reno before they and more appear. And the battle ends with Cloud making the decision that he doesn't in the original game to kill down Reno. Aerith goes to stop him, but again the wraiths have appeared to prevent us veering away from the original story, it would seem. I wonder if that guard saying "huh" is important, but we'll get that back to him in a few videos time.
Fine, go get the girl.
Sir!
The hell?
Weird. They're not attacking.
Open up!
Come on.
Over here!
So we head on up where we are guided in the remake, and although
Are they trying to...
it is still linear in the original game, as we'll see in a moment, you had a little fun game to get through in order to guide Aerith back up to us in the church rafters. And I must say, regardless of how many times I've played this game, or even this part of it, I still need to generally have a quick Google and look it up to make sure I get it right. Every time, as evidenced by my failure here.
They gone?
Yeah, think so.
What are they?
I think... Actually... I don't know. Let's just go.
And Aerith certainly seems to know something about the Wraiths, or at least has suspicions, and I wonder how that is going to play out throughout the remake's plot. And a lovely little scene atop the church here, where we see that there is more to this simple flower girl than has met the eye. We see that she's been a target for the Turks and Shinra for some time, and we'll see in future episodes exactly why. But for the moment in the original game, Aerith is choosing to sow seeds of misdirection and not being fully open as to why the Turks and Shinra are after her. Cloud, well, Rusty, seems to buy into her misdirections with his little quips here, and I feel this combined with the upcoming remake scenes in this and the next video show the similarities yet differences, as with so many facets in the
See that
remake
pillar over there?
of Cloud
There's
and
a
Aerith's
station.
relationship.
Right by it. Shall we mosey on over?
Aerith seemed intentionally vague there, and indeed I think she knows a lot more than she said in both games, but I feel it's made more plainly clear
What's next
in the
for you?
remake.
A little bit of bodyguard work.
Right.
After that, it's back to the Sector 7 slums.
So as we go through, obviously the same areas, clearly the same areas, but again just so well brought to life in the remake. Couple of screens just in the original where Aerith shows that she has knowledge of Mako infused eyes, which hints towards a future plot revelation, which again looks to be a major addition early on in the remake, judging from the end scenes of the remake and at the intergrade, which I've not played yet, but I have seen a couple of videos on YouTube for it. And as we come down in the original, just a quick trip through Sector 6 on the way to Aerith's house, just one area with a couple of rooms that we'll see in a moment. And here we get to see the reality of the Midgar slum residents' lives and how they feel about things, which is few and far between in the original, and the remake shows it so well. And there is another scene which you may feel is missed here, but I'm going to talk about that a lot more in the next part. So up the stairs we go, and well, I felt it was right to live up to our mercenary ways and steal this young boy's life savings. That 5 gil is going to come in handy at some point. And we have a wee quick look at the flyer there for the Turtles Paradise, which is a bar in Wutai, which they also run a little side quest in the original game of reading all those flyers for some prizes later on. And in the remake, as we take the path up to Aerith's house, I think it's one of the best and beautifully realised updates in the remake.
There you go. That's my house.
It's amazing.
I mean, it does. You know, it looks lovely anyway. But as you'll see coming up, how close the remake's gotten to it, as what you have to admit is also a really lovely scene in the original game. The flowers growing around Aerith's house only shows glimpses of how special she may be, and that's something that we're going to expand on in the next video, which is going to centre around Aerith a bit more, recapping some of what we've seen here and then really expanding on the last of the Ancients. But that's for next time. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you very soon for part 7. So like, share, subscribe, etc. and cheers for now.